Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on the Solano College Sports Network. I'm your host, Lana Johansen, and here is another episode of On Campus. And today I have a very special guest with me, Petero. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Good. So tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? How'd you come to Solano? A little bit about that.
I followed my husband here to Solano. Well, I'm originally from Fiji.
Okay.
Came to this country in 1976 when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Grew up in Hawaii, went to high school in Hawaii. Moved to Utah for 6 years, and I've lived in California for the last 38
Wow.
years. Yes. Went to college at Chabot,
Okay.
San Francisco State, and I've been teaching here at Solano since 2001.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And I heard you were a part of the debate team as well.
Yes, I was on this. I competed on the Chabot team in 1995, and I came here. I followed my husband here in 1997, 96, and competed on the speech and debate team, and then I started coaching in 1998.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
and then 2001 officially became a coach after I graduated from college, and coached with the speech and debate team until 2016.
That's amazing.
Yes.
What are some things that you miss do you miss doing it now?
I don't miss the travel.
Okay.
Because it was literally, you're teaching 7 days a week, right?
Oh, wow.
You're teaching your classes Monday through Friday, and then you're coaching. It's like if you're an athlete, you know that you have to, practice in the afternoons, right? So you're coaching until like about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
And then on the weekends, you're taking students on Friday through Sunday to tournaments. And a lot of the tournaments are in Southern California.
Yeah.
So you're traveling for a day.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the students are competing for 2 days or 3 days. And as they're competing as a coach, you're coaching, you're judging other people's students. So it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yes. End of the day, you're having dinner, so you don't go to bed until like 12 o'clock at night. You have to get up at 6 o'clock
in
the
the
next morning, do it
start
again.
all over. Oh, my
and
gosh.
then drive back home.
Yeah.
And then teach a class at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So it's great. What I love about it is you're always learning something.
Yep.
I loved about speech and debate is you learn as much from the students as they do from you, because they're coming up with new topics and new speeches.
New material,
Yes, every year. It's like I learned so much.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I miss that. I don't miss the travel.
Okay. Yeah. What are some topics that you have recently heard of or really stood out to you that you remember?
Well, recently they have the ban the box in applications, right?
Okay.
For job applications. And what ban the box is that you're not allowed to ask applicants if they were formerly incarcerated.
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
we used to be able to ask that. We had a student on our speech and debate team in 2000, I would say 13, 14, who gave a persuasive speech on banning the box.
Okay.
A couple of years later, it became legislation. Isn't
Wow.
that something?
Yeah.
In 2002, we had a student who advocated for voting rights for ex-felons.
Okay.
About, I think I want to say 2016 or so, they actually, in the state of Florida, now ex-felons can vote. In most states, ex-felons can vote. In the state of California, ex-felons can vote.
Wow.
So you can affect change by having a voice and using and talk about and really advocating. In real life for what you want to see.
That's
change,
awesome.
Right?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Because what did Gandhi say? Gandhi says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
And on our team, specifically at Solano, we really chose our topics in terms of you're not just talking to a group of students.
Right.
You're talking to you have a message to share, and that message needs to be heard and shared more than just a hotel room or a classroom.
Right. Exactly. That's awesome. So you teach here communications. You have online classes and classes on campus as well?
Yes. Starting this summer, I'll have the classes on campus.
Awesome.
I did an extended COVID because when COVID happened, March 18th, we all went online.
Right.
And so I've been teaching all my classes online. And last year, I was dealing with breast cancer, so I had more of my classes online.
Right.
Great administration here at Solano College in terms of accommodating those of us, if you need help. And thank goodness we were able to, thank goodness for COVID, not thank goodness for COVID. If there's a silver lining of COVID, you learn how to effectively teach online. Yes, and so that was helpful. And so this summer I'm coming back to the classroom. I also teach at Napa. This semester was the first time I've been in the classroom. It was great. I love
awesome.
It has changed my whole pedagogy in terms of how what I do in the classroom versus what I do online.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you prefer being in classroom?
Yes. Yes. More one-on-one.
Yes, definitely.
And with human beings, the more we communicate, the better we become at it, right? Last night, I'm on the school board at Fairfield-Suisun. I was at this, at a not symposium, at an event where you had all of these curriculum directors from all the different districts.
Right.
And they were talking about how do we get students to learn how to read. And they were talking about, we have this literacy program, that literacy program on top of each other, just reading. But what they were all talking about was students need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
They need to communicate and articulate. Do you understand what you just read? And it was so funny because at the end I said, look at what you're all talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we want our students to communicate, and yet we don't have them communicate.
Right.
You know, and so all the programs lack communication.
Yes, definitely.
You know, and we were talking before the show, we're saying, you know, when as babies, you encourage the children to talk. Please talk. Like, look at, they said mama, look, they said dada. And then as soon as you go to school, they tell you to be quiet.
Yep.
Right? And then you get to college and they go, talk. And
express yourself.
Yes, express yourself. Think outside the box. Like, what does that even mean?
What does it mean?
So we need to really encourage young people to talk.
Yeah.
Because it helps increase your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Talking and reading and comprehending and interacting with different people, like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, yes.
I love it. I know taking Pop's communication class like really changed my mind about like all the public speaking stuff. Like I'm terrified of it. It is not my favorite, but I will say I'm like liking it now.
Yes.
But yeah, I think how he runs his class, like it's not so serious, but also too he gives you such a structured thing to be successful, but also too like we get into groups, like we talk about interesting things, like we get to talk to each other, like talk about things that we like or we don't like it's an awesome way to express yourself about topics you do like, and you want to learn it, you know? It's not like read this book about Moby Dick and you don't really care, you know? Like I'm not going to pay attention, but something that is interesting, and Pop's a really good attention getter. Like people listen.
Yes,
you know?
Imagine that. Enjoying learning. Learning should be fun.
It should be,
right? And think about and all the topics that you choose. Is like, if I like this topic, I'm going to want to talk about it. Right? Like you said, what would I want to do? What do I get out of Moby Dick? This guy's so angry, he's going to chase a whale, and what do we get out of it? Right? The whale's going to get him. We're like, what's the moral of the story?
Exactly.
Right? Well, that's a different story. Like, what about stories from our own culture? What kind of lessons and legends can we learn from that and express that? Right? It's so valuable. Yeah. And if you'll notice too, the things that you like, that you enjoy, you can speak very easily about because you like it and you know it. We tend to get nervous when we're talking about something that's new to us.
Exactly.
And we're not quite comfortable with. And that's when we stammer, right? And that's when we don't make eye contact. And that's when we talk too fast, right? Or that's when we mumble. But if you like what you're talking about, you like what you're doing, it'll come out. But you, like you just said, the way you expressed yourself in terms of what you liked about that class and what you got to learn, and you looked really excited. Like, I got to learn stuff that I want to learn.
Exactly.
Imagine doing that with little children.
Yeah.
They know what they like. Our job is to cultivate that.
Exactly.
Right? And then have them talk about, what are you doing right now? Because little children like to explain what they're doing. If they explain what they're doing, they're going through a process. Life is a process, right? Exactly, but we get to school and we test.
Oh,
Yes.
my favorite.
It's understanding concepts. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're right, Pop. You know, he's always said what he loved about his history professors was that it wasn't about the dates, like when did the Civil War happen? It was what happened during that time. Right? And he used to tell me about how much he enjoyed college because of his professors made it fun.
Yeah, exactly. And he's continuing that on, you know, what he felt, he's doing that for other people. So
he teaches me every day. We've been married for almost 30 years, and I learn something every single day.
Oh, that's sweet. That's awesome. So another thing that I know about you, you're on the school board.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I thoroughly enjoyed. I feel like everything is urgent. Because policies you create now will probably won't affect children until the next generation, right? It comes up, and so that's why I feel like I have to fight so hard. I fundamentally believe that investing in education is investing in our retirement. children have to be ready to get into the workforce and to be able to adult and then and produce and provide for the economy and prepare for their old age. And I have this philosophy called learn, earn, return.
Yeah.
As a child, you're supposed to learn as much as you can so that you can be productive members of society when you get out of school, because you're earning to keep our economy going.
And keep it returning.
And all that experience that you're gaining when you get to my age, you give back. You're returning. So whatever you want, my job is to go, I've had that experience. Let me help direct you.
Navigate,
so that you won't have to go through all of this extraneous stuff. Then I can help direct you to that position. That's why if you look at college, you have to take all these general ed classes as opposed to taking, I want to be this.
Right.
What classes can I take to get to that?
Definitely.
You don't need all this extraneous information. And Lamar Ball his sons were playing for the NBA. And he really said something important. He goes, my sons want to be professional basketball players.
Right.
They're going to college so they can play college ball so they can become professional basketball players. They don't need early childhood development. Right? They need these classes, right? They need accounting, they need public speaking, they need economics, they need sociology, they need psychology. They need anthropology, all these classes that'll help them be public figures and communication. How do you do all of that? And basketball and all the kinesiology classes, health classes. They need those help. They need nutrition classes that will help them be a whole person as a professional athlete, right? So they still need math. Right? They still need English, they still need communications, they need to know how to interact with people. So you're still taking those classes, but you don't need some other classes, right?
Right, exactly.
So, and that's what makes education work. And so my goal is to give students an incentive to come to school, right? Instead of coming up all these extra classes, invest in sports. Sports teach students teamwork. They teach them work ethic. Time management, right? Music is math. Understanding phrasing, understanding notes, all of that, right? Theater teaches students to express themselves and be creative. Art, right? Look at everything. What would life be without art?
Exactly.
And art is poetry, art is music, art is painting.
Art
is all of that. And what would we do without music? How quiet would the world be without music?
It would be
all
sad.
Of that. And theater, all of those. You cultivate that and communications, right? And students will want to come to school. And their grades will reflect that. It shouldn't be work.
I agree. I agree. You said it. You made
and they're testing students the very first day of school. One of the critiques of the panel discussion last night was kids have way too much time on the screen, too much screen time.
Right.
And yet all these standardized tests are on the screen.
Right. I'm like, make it make sense.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And look at the taxpayer dollars that are being spent. Right?
That too.
And that's where it's so important. Being on the school board, I'm teaching young people to use your voice, because what the world looks like in 20 years will be because of you. It's like vote right? Show up. Make sure that, because we work for you. Right? It's like you are literally paying my salary. Right? You're paying for my health care. Right? So it's important that I represent you, but how am I going to represent you if I don't know what it is that you want?
Exactly.
Right?
And that's where the voice comes.
And we're on a micro level. Look what happens on the state and federal level.
Right.
Do we know what our Congress representatives are doing with the money that you put in? We just pay taxes, right?
It's wild.
So my job on the school board is to give students an incentive to want to come to school. Make our district stand out, and we have an opportunity in Solano County to be the stars. We have so much talent in this county.
We do. Yes. I agree. That's awesome. Well, it makes me happy we have somebody like you. Speaking up for us. It's awesome, and you're so well spoken too.
Thank you.
Of course. And I also heard you have a book.
I do.
I just hear about that. That's exciting.
So, 2 years ago, when I got into politics, I thought, I need to share my story. I also want my children to know, and nieces and nephews to know a little bit about their history. Because like I was telling you earlier, once generations are gone, all that information goes with them. And I read an article years ago that said, when you're 60 years old, you should write your memoir. So that's part of what I did, why I did that too. And then share the story so the kids know what their history is. And also, being in politics, I want my constituents to know, here's who I am. Before somebody else tries to tell you a story. Right. You're out there, right?
Exactly.
And so it's wonderful. My father has had a huge influence in my life. We had 5 of us girls. I'm the youngest. And he knew coming from a culture that's patriarchal, right? You're all women in this culture. In Tonga, and we're Tongan, Fijian, and so in our culture in Tonga, women still can't own land.
Really?
Yes, in 2024. Wow. It took my sisters from Tonga to Fiji so they can get an education, right? And so there, get an education, get an opportunity. And so all the lessons that he taught us as a child is what I lived through.
Yeah.
You know, he always told us, like, we have in our, like, this patriarchal, if you have a brother, the brother is the hub of the family. Right. But because you have no brothers, you're girls, right? Where's your family?
Yep, exactly.
So he says education is so important. Aww. Men will come and go as long as you can take care of yourself. So make sure you get an education.
Right? Get that on a shirt.
Yes,
a t-shirt.
Absolutely.
Men come and go.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what he really enforced in us, is an education and how you navigate the world through the only lens that he knows, and that's from the lens of a man.
Yeah.
So we learned how to, like I said, not to navigate the world through his eyes. Right. And so that's why I wrote Lessons from a Girl Dad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. It should be published in the next few months. I'm self-publishing, but it's all about, my travels from Fiji to Hawaii, to Tonga to Hawaii to Utah to California.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's awesome. And that's going to speak to so many people, especially young women.
Yes.
You know, even young men too. Like, people can relate to that. And that could help a lot of people understand things too.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
And to understand, like, you know, as an immigrant, first generation immigrant, this country has so much to give and so many opportunities. You know, Barack Obama said in his 2004 Democratic Convention speech that only in America is my story possible, right? As an immigrant, only in America is my story possible. I'm a black woman from the South Pacific, you know, in public office and teaching at a community college in this country.
I love it.
So only in America is my story possible. And if we can do it, anybody can.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you're right. There are the application of education is very different, right? Like some schools, they don't have the same textbooks.
Right.
That's why we still need affirmative action. Education is not equalized. It's not equitable.
Yeah.
Until that is, we still need to work really hard to make sure that all of our children have the best education.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I'm on the school board.
I love it.
And another reason why I wrote my book as well. All of those experiences are so important. I came here, I was a dreamer, for example, right? I had to work really hard for my citizenship. And that's why, another reason why I really love this country. I talked about my experiences having breast cancer twice, you know, and all that.
I love it. Well, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it. I'm really interested. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, you'll see what it, you know, also what an influence Paul's been on my life. And, you know,
that's sweet.
What an amazing, beyond a teacher, what an amazing husband and father he is.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh, how long has this been?
No, you're okay. I had a great time. I could keep talking for hours.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us in on this episode of On Campus. I'm Lana Johansen. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
On-the-job training is huge.
You get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you know, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So
joining the class was the best decision I ever made.
Stand by, we're going to go to cut one. And cut one. Cross court to Audrey Jones. Audrey for three! It is good! With 1.3 seconds left on the game clock. Audrey Jones with one of the biggest shots ever.
the sky's the limit, really, with what we can do here.